Welcome back to Mangastorian's Complete Story Series. Today we'll be covering Berserk chapter 122 to 125. Now at the end of our last video, Guts was pursued by Farnese and the Knights of the Holy Iron Chain, but because of his injuries, Guts managed to get captured and be brought back to the Vatican. However, as the night began to fall, Guts could feel the brand begin to bleed, indicating the sign of the undead spirits coming his way. As the spirits slowly begin to crawl out of the ground, Guts tells himself that this is going to be fun. No sword, chained up, stuck in a cage. What else could go wrong? And that's when Puck jumps out holding a set of keys. Guts stares and he sighs. Puck forces Guts to say, "Pretty please," in order to let him out, and then he frees him so that he can go back and get his equipment from Farnese's tent. The two sneak over, and as Guts crawls in from under the tent, he sees Farnese whipping herself. After tearing away the skin at her back, she kneels before the holy symbol and prays before the gods to guide her on her path. As she does, she feels a presence, and as she turns back, Guts quickly chops her in the side of her neck, shooting her out. Once geared up, Puck says that he probably shouldn't be doing any fighting, or he's going to reopen his wounds. However, before Guts can even make a witty remark, one of the guards runs into the tent, shouting that the Black Swordsman has escaped. Just as he says that, he looks over to see Farnese knocked out, and Guts punches him in the face. After grabbing the Behelit, Guts decides to set fire to the camp and begin his escape. Azan and the other guards run over to Farnese's tent and they shout to Guts, asking if he thinks he's going to be able to get away. Guts smiles, and he holds the torch to Farnese's backside, stating, "Yeah, so you're about to clear a path for me now." Azan struggles to try and think of what to do, and then he tells everyone to stand back. Guts walks over to the stable and he cuts loose the straps holding him down, and he waves the torch at one of the horses. The horses begin to buck and panic, and they run in every direction as Guts grabs one and he takes off. And after getting a little distance from the camp, Farnese slowly begins to wake up and she finds herself hanging over the side of a horse. She looks up and sees Guts and tries to wiggle herself free. In her struggle, she manages to get the gag off and she screams for him to unhand her this instant. He tells her to calm down. At the speed that they're going, if she falls, she's going to die. But Farnese continues to squirm and soon ends up sliding over the edge of the horse. Guts manages to catch her before her head scrapes against the gravel, and he tells her to just stop and behave. As Farnese gets back up on the horse, Puck flies in front of her, telling her that he's real sorry about Guts. He's been trying to teach him some manners. As Puck talks, Farnese doesn't respond. Puck flies back up and tells Guts that she couldn't see him. For some reason, there are people who can't see elves. And just as Guts begins to head over the hills, Serpico manages to catch up and loads his crossbow. However, before he can shoot, he feels something behind him, and a horde of spirits shoots by. Serpico's horse stops and jumps, throwing him to the ground. But as Serpico looks around, he asks, "What exactly was that?" Back up front, Guts asks why is it that she can't see him, and he says that he's not too sure himself, but it seems to be a lot of priests and religious people are unable to see him. Puck then flies down, tickling Farnese's ear, stating, "Oh well, it's more fun for me anyway this way." But as the brand begins to bleed, Guts grabs onto his sword and he waits. As the sword is drawn, the spirits rush by, and Guts readies himself. While Guts swings off at some of the others, a group of spirits start to grab at Farnese's face. The spirits begin to pull down at her, and with a quick swing, Guts holds out his sword, telling Farnese that there's a lot of things that she can't see. This is just God, and these are his miracles. More spirits begin to fly by, and before Guts can swing again, Farnese begins to flail and panic, and soon the horse slows down and starts to buck. The force throws Farnese off, but before falling to the ground, Guts quickly catches her again. She asks why he would save her, and Guts tells her, "I already told you. You hit the rocks and you'll die. Plus, if you're really going to follow me, you should know about things that also follow me." Farnese grits her teeth and shouts that she will not stay here and listen to his foolish words. But as Farnese starts to run off, she sees a pack of dogs, all gnarling and snarling at her. As the dogs bark, the spirits begin to latch themselves onto them, changing and transforming them. Soon the dogs all start to have human-like faces, and they walk towards them. Farnese asks, "What are those things?" And Guts smiles, telling her, "Those are miracles." A pack of dogs jumps at the two of them, and with one swing, Guts rips through them. One of the severed heads falls, and then it bounces back, trying to bite Farnese. But before it can sink its teeth into her, Guts swings his fist, slamming the head into the ground. He holds out his sword, telling Farnese that she shouldn't shy away from these. These are what they call angels. He steps forward, tearing into some of the dogs, saying that he doesn't have time for these miracles. They make him sick. He viciously cuts down the possessed dogs, and Farnese watches in fear of what may happen to her. Even as the dogs are torn apart, some begin to stand back up, making their way towards Farnese. While Guts continues to hold his own, Farnese starts to crawl away towards the horse that they were riding. As she gets closer, she tells the horse that she orders it to allow her to ride it and take her far, far away. But as the horse gets up and begins to look back, with the same human face telling her, no! The horse jumps up, slamming its hoof down, knocking her over, and as it licks her face, he tells her, I'm going to be the one riding you! Farty screams as the horse stands over her, and when Guts looks back, he starts to have a flashback to when he watched Griffith rape Casca. In a flash, he runs forward, swinging down on the horse, cutting off its head, and slamming the sword not even an inch away from Farnice's neck. Frightened, she starts to get back up, and as she looks at Guts, he stands there trying to control his rage. After a brief moment of silence, Guts looks at her and tells her that if she doesn't want to die, she shouldn't wander away. Guts then stands there with Puck looking at the blood dripping out of his old wounds, asking, why are you so angry? And just as if he was there, Puck sees a vision of the moment that Casca was being held against her will. More and more dogs begin to surround them, and soon the horse begins to stand back up. As the spirit pushes out another head, Guts slams his sword back down, cutting the horse's body in half, saying, it just reminded me of someone that I cared about. Thanks to that, I'm in a real bad mood now. So now, we've got until dawn to kill them all. Time begins to pass, and soon the sun begins to shine over the hill. And through that light, Farnice can see Guts sitting on a mountain of dead bodies. He sits there stained with blood, breathing like a wild animal. But then he resembles a picture that they used to hang in the holy chambers. However, as Farnice tries to open her mouth, no words come out. She is shaking far too much with fear to run away. And even now, she can't even speak God's name. The name that she has chanted thousands upon thousands of times. She just can't. But through her shadow, a spirit remains. The spirit attaches itself to her, telling her that she isn't helpless. There's a desire inside of her, a darkness, like a voice coming from inside. Soon Farnice begins to see the images for when she was whipping Guts, and a voice telling her that there is something that she felt back then. Waves of pleasure when she was striking down on his skin. And what's more, she feels it when she strikes herself. She may pretend that she does this out of faith, but really, it's all a shameful pleasure. Farnice tries to tell the spirit that that's not true, but the spirit goes on whispering that all she wishes for is to do perverted things to others and herself. As Farnice stands back up, she begins to take off the rest of her tattered pants, and the spirit continues to urge her, give in to those dark desires. As Farnice stands before Guts, he looks up asking, what's wrong? Without saying a word, she crawls on top of Guts, licking his neck and wounds from where he is bleeding. She then straddles over the blade of the blade, moaning in pleasure, telling Guts to lift it, lift the sword slowly. She tells him to go on, feel this pleasure, slowly ripping her in two. As Farnice tightens the rope bindings from her hands around Guts' throat, the sun slowly begins to rise over the hilltop. She screams and the spirit starts to pull itself away, but Puck quickly bashes it with his spark, killing it. As Farnice falls back onto Guts' chest, he tells her that she's sane again, so she should get the hell off of him. And all Farnice can do is sit there and cry. She throws herself back, and off in the distance, Serpico rides by. After racing over to help her, he covers her and asks if she can stand. Without answering his question, she tells him to kill that man before they leave this place, and for her honor, kill that man! Serpico says that he's not really sure about that, and he's also not sure what happened here, but their job is to capture him, not kill him. She shouts, never mind that, just hurry up and kill him! Serpico then says that he heard her the first time. It's just as she's seen herself. That man's strength is inhuman. I would be throwing my life away. And as soon as he finishes that sentence, Farnice slaps him across the face and walks towards the horse. After rubbing his face, Serpico says that he made her cry again, didn't he? And Guts smiles back. Beats the hell out of me. Serpico tells him that he likes that answer. Pity they're forced to meet this way, but it seems as though he may just have to let him go. Guts turns away and he laughs, telling him, I owe you one. In a flash, Serpico leaps forward, pulling out his sword and swinging. And just as Serpico gets in range, Guts too swings. As the tip of Serpico's sword grazes Guts' cheek, he says that was a pretty good dodge. Serpico holds up his foot after nearly having it cut off, telling him, you're much better than I thought. And that was my only good pair of boots. He turns away, telling him, we must chat again sometime, but maybe without all of the athletics. That's going to be enough for now. Isn't that right, little one? As Serpico leaves, Guts laughs, saying that he's better than he thought. And while he heads back to his horse, Puck says that he really loves her. That much he's aware of. Farnice walks away, telling herself that that man must die. His mouth must be sealed. He must never speak of what happened. And that concludes chapter 125 of Berserk. We're trying to give you guys the best Berserk experience that we can possibly give you. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get your Berserk comics every Friday. And I'll see you right here every week when we do more videos for you. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Mangastorian. I'll see you next time right here.